Greetings, Auburndale community. This is Steve Van Wy, principal of Auburndale High School and Middle School, joined here by Andy Scherenbach, principal of Auburndale Elementary, to talk to you about some proposed changes that we are looking to make to the 24-25 calendar. These changes have not yet been approved. They'll be presented to the board at our next board meeting next Wednesday. But we wanted to just make the community aware of these changes and how they would impact students and the purposes behind these changes. So this presentation hopefully will answer any questions you may have. If you have any questions afterwards, please feel free to reach out to contact either one of us or also Mr. Yeski. So here is our calendar for the 24-25 school year that we are going to propose to the board. Some key dates. It looks very similar to previous calendars. We'll have our open house on August 27th. The first day of school will be the day after Labor Day, September 3rd. Graduation will be May 23rd, which is a Friday evening. And the last day of school will be June 4th. So like I said, this calendar very similar to previous calendars, but there are some changes from previous years as well. And those are the things that we want to highlight in this presentation. The first is there are going to be some pretty significant changes to how we run our parent-teacher conferences. And also, we are looking at adding late starts each Wednesday. Those starts will be an hour later than usual each Wednesday for the duration of the school year, beginning with the second day of school, which is September 4th. So going through these changes in a little more detail. First, we're going to take a look at those parent-teacher conferences.
So currently, parent-teacher conferences are for the middle school, high school, and the elementary school all on the same day. Next year, we're proposing not to do that. The elementary plan is to have them later in the year to allow more time for discuss the students' progress towards their goals and standards. It makes the meeting more relevant. They would be later in the school year, as you would see on that previous slide, which is different from the middle school days and the high school days.
Yeah, what works best for the elementary doesn't quite work best for the middle school and high school. So we will be separating those dates. The middle school will have two evenings early on in the first quarter so that we can make those parent-teacher connections. And then we'll also have one additional day in the third and fourth quarter. The high school classes, because of our block schedule, a lot of those change from quarter to quarter. So we will have one evening during each midpoint of each quarter. So that's how our middle school and high school will run. So the big change being there that they won't all be on the same day as they have been in the past. And that is because what works best for one doesn't always work best for the other. So that's one of our changes. The second change is going to be the late starts, which we're looking at. And first, Mr. Scherenbach will explain how that will impact the elementary.
So again, for the elementary, for the proposed calendar next year, Wednesdays only would start 1 hour later for the 24-25 school year. Each Wednesday, school would start 1 hour later. Elementary, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday would be a 7:55 a.m. to 3 p.m. regular day. On Wednesdays, school would start at 8:55 a.m. and end at 3 p.m. 1 hour later. The buses would also run 1 hour later on Wednesdays only. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, buses would continue to come to the elementary school at 7:40 a.m. as they do this year. Wednesdays, buses come to the elementary school at 8:40. Can my children be dropped off at the same time? Yes. The elementary early morning drop off is Monday through Friday, including Wednesdays, 7:15 to 7:35. The regular drop off is still 7:35 to 7:50, but on Wednesdays it would be 8:30 to 8:45. Supervision is provided while the teachers are in professional development for the elementary school.
And the high school would work very similar, the middle school and high school. Again, we would still have those Wednesdays only, which would start 1 hour later. On those days, the school day would run from 8:55 to 3:15, unlike Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday when it would be 7:55 to 3:15. So on that Wednesday, we would run some shortened classes, but students would still have all of their classes even on those Wednesdays. Buses would run an hour later, just like with elementary students. So the buses would arrive at around 8:40 a.m. on Wednesdays. As with the elementary, children can still be dropped off at the same time as the school year. So again, our early morning drop off Monday through Friday is 7:15 to 7:35. Our regular drop off time is 7:15 to 7:50. On Wednesdays, we can still be dropped off at that 7:15 time. However, we encourage students to be dropped off later at 8:35 if possible. We will provide supervision for those students while the teachers are in professional development if they do need to be dropped off at that additional time, at that earlier time. We also will be asking some of our high school students to get some volunteer hours, potentially to help supervise some of the elementary students um, on those Wednesday mornings as well. So again, very similar to what the elementary school is doing with our late starts on Wednesdays. So one big question we have is, why are we doing this? Well, the big reason is for additional planning time for our teachers. So our teachers will still start their workday at the same time, and they will be putting in some professional development on these late start days. Currently, our calendar does not have a lot of planning time for our teachers, and we're trying to add that, and we're trying to do that without having multiple days off of school or extending the school year next year. So this is a way that we're able to do that. It also allows us to address building district and state expectations as well as work on curriculum.
You can also, we're going to work on our standards-based report cards in the elementary and primary grades. Act 20 is a new reading legislation for our kindergarten through 3 staff, and they have to meet weekly to continue to meet those requirements as we learn the new Act 20 law. And it also allows our grade levels to talk with those a grade level above and below for continuity of lessons and learning, not only at the elementary, but 5th to 6th grade for our middle school, 7th to 8th, 8th to 9th into high school, and all of our regular classes, both in the middle and high school as well.
So the teachers during this time will be doing curriculum planning. They will be, as Mr. Scherenbach said, meeting with other teachers across grade levels, even across buildings. We'll be working on district goals, including those that were identified in our strategic plan. We'll also have the opportunity to collaborate with other districts to address student learning. We'll be able to create plans and identify students who may need additional support. And also gives us an opportunity really to work extensively with our special education department to support student learning. So we anticipate some questions that we may have, and we tried to address some of these in the presentation already, but just wanted to highlight some of these questions and answers. The big question I foresee having is, with this Wednesday late start, what if I need to drop my child off? If you have to work and you have to drop your child off, can you still do that? And the answer is yes. We're still going to provide that opportunity at 7:15 as we have in the past. So you're still able to drop off your child as you were this year, and we will be providing supervision.
What will my child do if they're dropped off early at the elementary school? They'll play board games, card games, watch educational programming such as PBS Kids, or play outside, weather permitting. Those meeting spots are to be determined based on the number of students and how we're going to lay this out. The elementary students will be supervised, as we said before, by aides, high school students, and volunteers. Will we need to add additional days to the school year? No, we don't need to. It will work out without. Will breakfast still be available on the late start? Yes. So at the elementary, we will have the breakfast on those late start Wednesdays from 8:15 to 8:45, just as we would Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Our regular breakfast is from 7:35 until 7:50.
Another question we've had is, why late starts instead of early dismissals? I know when I was a student at Auburndale, we used to do the 1:30 dismissals. And the reason we prefer the late starts at this time is it really works better for students who are involved with after school activities, and also for our staff members who coach. It just works out much better to have that later start. It also gives students an opportunity, potentially, if they have that capability, if they're driving or getting a ride, to get an extra hour of sleep that morning before coming to school. So there's definitely some advantages to the late start versus an early dismissal. Another question we've had is, do other districts do this? And yes, there are quite a few in our area, including Abbotsford, Stevens Point, Owen Withy, and next year, Wisconsin Rapids is planning to do that as well. So it is something that has been used in the past, and Abbotsford, having talked with their school, really has felt it's been very productive for their school district.
One thing you haven't heard much about in this whole presentation is 4K, and there will still be 4K at the elementary school, but with a couple of changes. We will have a Monday, Thursday class and a Tuesday, Friday class from 7:55 until 3 o'clock. There'll be no 4K on Wednesdays. On those Wednesdays, we will have our early childhood class, 9 a.m. until 12 p.m.
So as we continue to plan, and like I said, this is all pending board approval, but we also will need some information from families as well because it's going to be important for us to understand how much supervision we'll need on those Wednesday mornings for students who will be arriving at that regular time, or now it'll be an early time. So we will be sending out a survey, trying to get that data. So please, when you see that survey come through, please fill it out and help us out so we can make sure we have the proper number of people to supervise. And if you have questions, as always, feel free to reach out. I do have our email addresses, as well as Mr. Yeski's email address and phone number there for questions and how this may impact you. And feedback is always appreciated. So with that, I just want to thank you for your time. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us.